Hi everyone, I'm here to talk to you about chapter 3, which is on standardized testing. Going into this chapter, I had an idea about, standardized testing and what they, you know, um, looked for. And when I was reading through the chapter, I was thinking, wow, I cannot believe that there are this many tests out there for children. And we'll get back to that in a second. So first I want to go through the different type of tests that there are. I picked a few. So first I picked the ability test, which tests the current level of knowledge or skill. And under this we have three types of tests, which are the intelligence test, which assesses overall intellectual functioning and assesses the ability for learning and problem solving. This would be like an IQ test, which IQ tests can also fall under aptitude tests, which measure the potential to learn and develop proficiency, provided there's some sort of training or practice involved. This could also predict future learning. This would, there is this term called criterion related validity, which would check if this test is actually viable. We have also achievement tests, which is the extent to which a person has mastered a set of skills. So this would be what we know as the SAT test, ACT test, the FCAT, or now FSAs. This to check if the test is valid, they have something called content validity, which checks to see if the items on the test match up to the objectives that they had set out for the test. Some other tests that they perform are screening tests. This is a very broad term to say that it pretty much detects if a child has some sort of developmental problem. This can be some sort of learning disability or emotional or sometimes even physical. So if the results concur that a child does have a developmental problem, further investigations must be done. An example of a screening test would be a parental questionnaire, which they would have the parents, answer a set of questions, and they would, assess their answers. So I don't think this would be too reliable, being that parents, can be biased, and they might be kind of scared that they'll fail somehow the test, or their child will fail the test. So I wouldn't say that would be the most reliable form of a screening test. Now, if the child does the scores show that the child has some sort of developmental disability, they would go through what's called a diagnostic test, which detects if a child has a developmental problem. This can be done through intelligence testing, or a physical diagnostics test can be done. But the problem with physical diagnostics tests is sometimes it seems that it's a little bit intrusive, and so there can be a lot of disagreement, so which can lead the test to being unreliable. Now going through all these things, what I connected with was I've been going through testing my whole life, ever since I started kindergarten. In kindergarten and first grade, I went through ESOL testing. In first grade, I remember having to do some sort of SAT test. And third grade, I took my first FCAT and took FCAT after that for many years. Then I took my SATs 11th and 12th grade. And I didn't even mention all the quarterly exams and the interim exams that we were given in between, and the teacher exams that I was given. So schooling was all about test. If you fail this test, you get pushed back, or if you pass it, you get, move forward. If not, you have to be put in regular classes, or you put in honors or gifted. So it was a lot of pressure to have as a child. Now, to extend on all this, I became pretty much conditioned to test taking. Thankfully, I guess you could say. I just I have a test. Okay, let me take it, sit down and take it. But there are other children who are more nervous about tests, and they don't perform as well. Even though in the classroom they're on top of it, they're on their game, on the ball, but on the test they perform poorly. So I don't think that this should be, what their fate in school shouldn't solely be based on assessments or tests. So I know that, going through the list of tests, given to the young children, I begin to wonder, are they all worth it? So now I know before administering a test, I would like to research them and see if there's some sort of, you know, some other test that can kind of do like multiple in one, or is easier so it's not too nerve-wracking and time consuming for the child. A challenge I had was, now I have a very indifferent relationship with tests. I know that tests are necessary, but do we really need so many? There should be a limit to how many tests a child has to go through in their childhood. Their school experience shouldn't solely be based on tests, and worksheets to prepare for the test. It should be more about hands-on learning, using things that they know that they're going to need in the future.